The playoffs are right around the corner. Saturday, the Astros square off against their old friend Carlos Correa and the Minnesota Twins, coming off a sweep in the wild card versus the Blue Jays. We're going to talk about this with Brandon Warne from Locked On Twins, the comparison, the matchup, and who we think will get the best of 5 in this series on this special crossover edition of Locked On Astros and Locked On Twins.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. And Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Always positive. Positive, I love it when our friend Brandon comes and hangs out with us. Always Stros.
All right. Yeah, we got Brandon Warne with the Locked On Twins podcast. I think that's what they're called. Great show over there. They have this team that we're going to be facing for next week or so. And so we're going to be seeing a lot of this guy. And Brandon, where can they find you at?
I wouldn't, honestly, but at Brandon_WARNE on Twitter. And, of course, Locked On Twins, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. And yeah, it's gonna be a spirited battle. I feel very confident. It'll certainly be better this time around to have fans in the stands.
Yeah, definitely. I know that 2020 was when we played the Twins, and that was not a very good outcome for the Twins. But y'all did go ahead and break the streak of 18 straight losses. We talked about that yesterday. And so the Twins have to go in with a great feeling. But you know what gives Brett and I a great feeling? I'm sure, Brandon, you get it too, is all our loyal listeners, everybody that makes the Locked On Astros podcast, the Locked On Twins podcast special, and everybody that becomes everydayers, somebody that listens to our podcast every day. So if you haven't subscribed to either our podcast or his podcast, go and do that. It just takes a second to just click that red button down there that says subscribe. Give us a big fat thumbs up while you're at it, and go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. So we're going to be looking at the matchup for the ALDS. Yes, we have seen them before, but this is a much different Twins team. They do have some guy named Carlos Correa. You may have heard of him before. It may be his time this time. So there's a lot that we need to talk about in this show. We'll look at the pitching matchups because not to kind of toot our horn here, but it seems like the Astros aces are lined up while the Twins had to maybe use their aces to get out of the wild card series. What are some of the keys for the Astros to win this series? What are some keys for the Twins to win this series? And go ahead and look at the roster makeup, because I know that Dana Brown and Dusty Baker, they have till Saturday to make their decisions, but I know they kind of gave some hints. And so we'll talk about roster makeup. I don't know what you're hearing up there about the Twins roster. And then we'll also look at the playoff history, because you do have something, Brandon, that the Astros fans can't say. That is 3 World Series championships, while we only have the 2. So this should be an interesting show. So let's go and get started, Brett.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be an exciting matchup. And like you said, this isn't the Twins team of old. Obviously, they did something that no other Twins team has done since 2002, win a playoff series. And you have to respect the way they did it. I mean, I honestly thought that the division series was going to go 3 games. I didn't think every wild card series would be a sweep, which is kind of bonkers to me. But look, like Brandon, I think Brandon's comment on our show last night when we brought him in first segment said this, that a lot of people slept on the Twins. And I know, look, coming out of the AL Central, it's kind of become what the AL West was, I guess, maybe the last couple of years, where like it was like, yeah, you win the AL West. Like, what's the big deal? The Central has kind of become that because the Indians just seem to not really be able to, the Guardians just seem to not be able to really grasp at anything solid at the top. The White Sox, who knows what they're all about. And the Twins just were consistent this year. Like you said, 3 wins off. I think we are a comparable matchup. I think I think we have a lot more favor in certain areas on the field, but it's like Alex Bregman's told me, and it's like Alex Bregman's told the press. It's all about execution, and we have to execute. And so that's what the name of the game is. Brandon, how are you feeling going into the series? I mean, you guys are going to be coming into Houston. Heck, the roof might be open because it's going to be a little bit cooler. There's a little bit of a cold front coming our way.
I think I would say I'm eager to see how the Twins handle another situation, another frontier. This was one that you hadn't seen in 20 plus years, winning a series after winning a playoff game. And I actually did an episode on kind of all the fun little intricacies. Twins doing it in front of A-Rod, who was on the call, who was a huge part of the streak in the first place. Michael Kay is a Yankees broadcaster. George Springer makes the first out or the final out of the first game. Springer was the hitter. Correa was the runner on that messed up throw in the ninth inning by Jorge Polanco. There was just so many parallels, and it's kind of goes to show how baseball is such a cottage thing. But, honestly, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. Each team has, what I think is a strength, what I think is not necessarily a weakness, but certainly less strong than their main thing. And then I think the bullpens together could be very, very interesting. So I think it's a matchup of weaknesses and strengths that should be very entertaining, to say the least.
I would say just by looking at the numbers, the Astros bullpen may have a slight edge. I know that I can't think of the guy, your closer's name at the top
Duran.
of my. Yeah,
Duran.
Yeah, he looked like he had a little minor injury, but he pitched that game yesterday. But besides that, I would say that the Astros have the better overall bullpen. I would say the Twins, despite the starters the Astros have, they probably have the more consistent rotation. And while the offense may be pretty comparable, the Twins have more home runs than the Astros. But I think that the Astros have overall across the board have better stats than the Twins do. So this is pretty much an evenly matched team. And it's just a matter of who which pitchers will last longer, and can the Astros hitters just go ahead and get to the Twins bullpen early?
Well, and I think where the data betrays the Twins bullpen, and they were first in September in strikeout rate with the Rays, who have since been not sent home. They were already home to begin with.
Right.
But they've really remade the bullpen on the fly with Louis Varland, a starter who's been pushed into a shorter role. We'll see what Kenta Maeda does. Didn't get used in the first series. And then Joe Ryan. They've got a bunch of guys who may work in different hybrid relief roles. Also, too, Brock Stewart being back off the IL. And then Chris Paddock hit 98 in his rehab and has been pumping it out just like crazy. So the bullpen that the Twins had most of the season and the bullpen they have now, they scarcely resemble each other outside the back end.
We are sitting here trying to decide or not decide. We're trying to figure out who the Astros are going to play and who they're going to field. Let me ask you about this. Dan Hayes, MLB, on Twitter today said that Byron Buxton and Nick Gordon both want to play, but they're also not making it about them. How hopeful are you that you guys will see someone like Byron Buxton or Nick Gordon? Because when Byron Buxton's healthy, he's clearly one of the top 5 outfielders in the major leagues. Is he going to be there at all in this NLDS?
Honestly, I don't think he will be. And Nick Gordon, if Buxton isn't and Gordon is ready, they could maybe take Andrew Stevenson off the roster. But honestly, Stevenson's on there as kind of insurance for Royce Lewis's hamstring. And so Buxton, if he was healthy, would kick Stevenson off, but then he'd have to play. So it's a lot of layers. Nick Gordon, to me, is really a non-factor at this point. The Twins are just so well-stocked at guys who can do a little bit of everything with Farmer, Solano, and Willie Castro. So Buxton is the one to watch for here. I'm skeptical. He's been out since August with this knee thing, and I'm not positive that 3-4 extra days is going to really matter that much.
So I guess you're not buying that Buxton's going to be ready for this series, but that's one of those players that could be a difference. But like you said, for every great team, there's somebody that steps up. We'll talk about some of the players that step up for the Astros this year. But Brett, let's go and talk about Ibarra.
Yeah, definitely. It's football season. That means pizza, wings, and more buffalo chicken dip and whatever you bring to your tailgate. Look, you can go to Ibotta. Why? Because when you use Ibotta to buy your groceries, you get paid, you get cash back. You can beat inflation. Look, we know that times are tough and prices are going up, but the average Ibotta user earns $100 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip or give you cash back, that, to buy a flight that you're eyeing to go see your team on the road when they're in the playoffs. Other apps give you points and they don't really amount to much. With Ibotta, you get real cash back that you can cash out, put in your bank account, go to PayPal or onto gift cards. You earn cash back on hundreds of online brands as well, retailers. When you start with Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. So download the Ibotta app today and use the code MLB and start earning real cash back. Just go to the App Store and Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Use the code MLB.
And guys, we actually have some game times. I'm super excited about this. We actually know when the Astros will be playing. So on Saturday, if you can't watch the game, if you can't go to the game, if there's some reason why you cannot do anything, SiriusXM is there for you. Just download the SXM app and search Astros, and you can hear all the play-by-play coverage. Or if you're a Twins fan and you want to listen to that coverage too, you can go ahead and just search Twins as well. But this is going to be an exciting series. Justin Verlander, and who's going to be on the mound for the Twins?
It's still up in the air. That's the thing. With Pablo going game 1 and Sonny going game 2, that puts game 3, in theory, you'd understand that starter would be there. But with enough time off between game 1 and game 1 of the next series, they could, in theory, bring back Pablo on short rest. They're not going to do that. So I think it's going to be some kind of hybrid 3-headed monster between Kenta Maeda, Bailey Ober, and Joe Ryan. But I don't think anything is out of the conversation. And I think, too, it'll depend on, just the early flow of the game in game 1. We saw Jose Barrios lifted after 3+ innings in game 2. I think it'll be a similar kind of hook, although obviously none of those guys are going to be pumping 96 like Barrios was. So we'll see what happens. But I think Joe Ryan could start, but Bailey Ober might be a better fit. Joe Ryan kind of got bit by the home run bug at times this year. And so I'm not sure how I'd feel about him outside of maybe, one trip through the order.
Yeah, the Houston Astros handled Joe Ryan pretty well. And I know this is a JV game we're talking, and more than likely, typically you have Mauricio Dubon in center field whenever JV starts. But if Chas McCormick were to go up against him, he's got a 1,000 OPS, 286 average. Well, he's 2 for 7, okay, against him, but he does have a home run and 7 plate appearances in 2 RBIs. And what I really like about this Astros squad is they're so loaded, not just 1 through 9, but on the bench. And we don't know how much Brantley's going to play. We don't know if he's going to be left or DH. We don't know if Diaz is going to be DH. We don't know if the Astros are going to carry a third catcher. We don't even know if the Astros, because the Astros typically only go with 12 pitchers in the ALDS. They may go with 13 this year. There's a lot of things up in the air right now that they're trying to decide, that Dusty and the pitching coaches are putting their heads together, because what the Astros won't do is they won't take the Minnesota Twins lightly. And Carlos Correa did recognize, he said, look, we're going to Houston. I know those guys. I know that ballpark, but you know what? They know how to come prepared, and you have to come prepared as well. So I don't think we've ever seen a more prepared team on both sides that knows what to expect from the other team. Like, no one's sleeping. The Twins aren't sleeping on the Astros, and the Astros aren't just saying, okay, we're just going to walk through the Twins and just plow through Minnesota like it's nothing. Now fans may think that, but when you get to the playoffs, it's a zero-sum game. Anybody can win. We saw that with the Phillies last year, making it against the Astros. I mean, heck, the Phillies knocked off the Braves last year, and they're squaring off again this year. And so nothing is a for sure bet. I just like the Astros' chances a little more than the Twins, especially with the playoff experience. I think that's going to come into play really, really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it helps to have the home field advantage too. Yeah. Anytime you start the series at home, it's a big plus. I mean, these wild card series, it's home and that's it. So it's a little different. But yeah, you obviously like your chances. The Twins did play better on the road as the season went on, but I mean, they were in Colorado playing the Rockies to end the season. So what is it worth really? I'm not sure.
Yeah, in game 2, it's been confirmed that it's gonna be Framber Valdez. And game 3, we don't know who's gonna be pitching, but it's likely gonna be Christian Javier. But you're just talking about home field advantage. Home field advantage could be lost technically if the Twins win one of the home games. Away from the Astros. So if they win like game 2 or game 1, then that technically the Twins could win all the games on the road, and then not the Astros not play another home game. So it's very important that the Astros take care of business at home, and so that's why they're putting their best 2 pitchers out there. And a lot of people are like, well, Framber Valdez has been the ace. He's been the guy that you can count on all year. But if you look at what Justin Verlander has been doing in the past 2 starts, he was I think it was like 14 innings with shutout innings, and he was just dominating with the Astros. He has a 7-3 record with a 3.31 ERA. Yes, when he sucked, he sucked. He gave up like 3 to 4 home runs a game, especially that one against the Yankees. It just looked like he was tipping pitches or something. But when he's on, he's one of the most dominating pitchers in baseball. So I think that while I talked about earlier, the starting pitching may have a slight edge to the Twins. I think the Astros have been so inconsistent. If they pitch the way they're supposed to pitch, I think it's a little bit more even than the numbers say. So that goes back to your statement earlier about the bullpen. The numbers may not do enough justice.
Yeah, I mean, it's any kind of data analysis at this time of year. Things change so much over 6 months that
Right.
there's different things. It's not any sort of like trying to misrepresent what the numbers say. It's just, once you get, like you said, 0-sum game, once you get into the series, it's kind of my best against your best, and you see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you saw MLB compared the 2 teams. They basically did a matchup between the 2, and they were like, who has the advantage here or there? I think they gave the Twins the advantage at first. I believe they gave the Twins the advantage at shortstop, which I think a lot of people would like to think because of the rookie run that Jeremy Pena had last year in the postseason, that like, whoa, hold on. How can you just dethrone
Right.
the reigning Gold Glove guy, the guy that was the ALCS and World Series MVP? And so you've got a lot of comparisons there. I think outfield, we are far superior. But what do you think of position wise? I know catcher, they kind of give you guys the slight edge over Maldonado.
Slight.
Well, I'm being nice because, Maldonado, I respect him. I know a lot of people don't like him, but Yainer Diaz, look, I'll just tell you this. I spoke with someone, close to him today, and I just said, I really hope Diaz gets at bats this series. And they just responded. They says, yes, we do too. So, Brandon, is there anywhere on the field on the diamond that you feel like you guys have the edge over the Astros, going into this series?
Well, the catching situation is quite similar because there's an offensive-minded catcher and a defensive-minded. Twins have Ryan Jeffers, who started both games of the wild card series, and he's kind of like Diaz. Whereas, I mean, Christian Vasquez, you guys know just as well as anyone.
Right.
He is around winning teams for one reason or another. I don't necessarily buy into the idea of winning players, but there is also something to be said about a catcher who controls the game like he does from that standpoint. So when I think of places the Twins or Astros really dominate the other, it's really hard for me to pick any of them. I think it's a pick 'em for a lot of different spots. And honestly, I mean, I don't know how meaningful that analysis is anyway. If, in a short series, someone like Kyle Farmer goes off or Donovan Solano, which we're not really accounting for. So I think it makes for good content. I think it makes for something to help us prolong the time before we actually have to watch something that could break our hearts in devastating fashion. But no, I don't think the Twins run away with any spot for sure. And primarily the one reason too is that there's just so much fluidity. We don't know if Royce Lewis is going to play third. Is he going to DH? Is he going to move Polanco over to second? Is Edouard Julien going to DH? It's going to be a fluid situation, and the Twins use so many substitutions, and their bench too. Like the Twins, like the Astros, wonderful bench. I think it'll be interesting to see how they match up because it's just they're similar teams in terms of structure. They have their dominant thing, but they're so different too. And it's experience versus youth. And it's It's just there's so many storylines that could be birthed from this. You got mentor and protege, if you want to call it that, Correa and Pena. There's just so much that we're going to uncover here, and hopefully it's goes the full series because again, so much meat on the bone.
I know that talking about the catching situation and Yainer Diaz, I think a lot of it will have to do with Michael Brantley's health. I know that Dana Brown said that he's playable, meaning that he's able to be on this roster, and they're hoping that he's able to play in as many games as he can. But Dusty Baker also said that he's not sure he wants to play, but the Twins also have a mostly right-handed rotation. So a guy like Michael Brantley, you need in that lineup. So I think it's really up to the health of Michael Brantley there. But a lot of people are wondering, well, to get Yainer Diaz in there, are you going to go ahead and try to go with 3 catchers? And then Dana Brown today said, no, I don't see them going with 3 catchers. They don't see the need for that. And he once again, he went ahead and said that we talked about it for a little bit, but it's my belief that'll be hard for me to go with 3 catchers. I know we've had some conversations to figure it out if it's worthwhile to go that direction, but I would say we're probably not going to do that this time. And to go off of Diaz, this is what you had to say. It's Dusty's decision. I like when Diaz is in the lineup, whether it's DH or catching, but it's pretty much Dusty's decision. He's been calling it like he sees it the whole way through the year. I like it when Diaz is in there. I think Dusty likes it too, but I think Dusty also liked Maldy's calling game and him being the general on the field. I think when you get to this point and you have good people on the bench, that means the team is really good. And I do have one more thing about Michael Brantley. This is what Baker had to say about Michael Brantley. I don't know. That's a question I cannot answer because I don't know how his body's going to respond. I'm hoping I can get whatever I can out of him. He's my Kawhi Leonard. I cannot.
He's my Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard. I can't say enough whether we get him for 2 games, 1 game, or whatever. I'm asking him constantly, and he's tired of me asking him. So he's the guy that's when he's in the lineup, he's going to give you everything he's got. But when he's not, he's going to be injured. So is there anybody like that on your team?
Yeah. Actually, Brantley got hurt in Minnesota initially. So
yes,
a few years ago, actually, I was at that game and it was crazy. I actually texted his agent because we're buddies. He's no longer his agent. Not really the point. Yeah, I mean, obviously Buxton falls into that mix. I always respect Brantley because he gives you such a consistent plate appearance every single time. I feel like maybe we don't have enough respect for guys like that in today's game because, you hit 280, 290, 300 with 15 homers. Nothing jumps off the screen before you consider how hard it is to hit that high this year in this current offensive environment. But yeah, again, there's so much fluidity with this Twins offense and position players just due to the fact that they just don't know what they're going to get out of Buxton. Lewis, he had a great series, but didn't play the field. And the day before the series started, even still, he kind of put off this vibe that he was skeptical he was going to be able to go. So when you have Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, and Byron Buxton all not at 100% or particularly close, like it's almost just surprising the Twins are here in the first place. But with that said, you get to October and there's this, there's this force of these teams that just kind of come together. And we've seen it with the Astros, and we've seen it with a number of different teams. But I think the Twins could have that. It's something I'm watching. Again, I don't believe in a lot of these like intangible forces, but the team just has good energy is what I'll probably kind of go with there.
All right. So I wonder what FanDuel will be saying about the Twins odds of going to the World Series or maybe the Astros odds. I mean, I would say the Astros odds would be slightly higher, but I don't know what FanDuel would be saying. What do you think, Brandon?
Well, and, if you want to get in on the game, you can snap into action, NFL season, postseason, all that fun stuff with FanDuel. It is America's #1 sports book. And right now they're running something phenomenal. New customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Now, you don't even have to win. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if you've been thinking about it, if you've been on the fence about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options. You could do spreads, player props, overs, unders, all that kind of stuff. It's phenomenal. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season, MLB postseason, NBA season, all this fun stuff. But FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL.
That's right. And if you want somewhere to go to watch the Astros play the Twins, go to your local Hooters, from anywhere from Galveston to Humble, from Katy to Pearland to Pasadena to Kemah. Anywhere. Sugarland, go anywhere in Houston, find your local Hooters, park yourself right there, hang out at the bar, bring your friends along. They have great brews. They have great wings. They have great flavors. Smoked wings are my favorite. And they have $3 Blue Moon drafts. They have $9.99 Michelob Ultra pitchers. They have deals going on all the time. And it's not just during the game, before the game, after the game, even when the game's not on, you can go hang out with them. And so make sure you check out your local Hooters. Let them know that Locked On Astros sent you. You'll get a free basket of fried pickles. That's right, on us. Thank you so much for being an everydayer. And why do we send you to Hooters? Not just because of great wings and great beer. Why? Because Hooters makes you happy. And listen to the Astros play the Twins Saturday, game 1 of the ALDS at 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. Catch all the hometown play calls on SiriusXM. Go to the SXM app and search Astros. Eric, before we move on to the next thing, the next phase, I want to reveal my special playoff hat that I purchased for the playoffs. And I told the group I would do this, and this is the Infinity Stones Houston Astros hat. You see, it's got the Infinity Stone logo right here on the side with all the Infinity Stones. And then on the inside of the cap, you have all the Marvel characters in the hat liner. So I'm going to put this on. Why? I'm going to put this on because the Astros are inevitable. So we got the Infinity Stone hat for the Astros. We're getting ready. We're not taking Minnesota lightly, but we're going to try to be Thanos, and we're going to try to snap our fingers and get rid of one more part of Major League Baseball in our pursuit of another World Series title.
2 things. One, no Marvel characters were harmed in making this hat. And 2, that was a very slick transition with the old hat and the new hat, and you like talk that? And everything. So bravo, sir.
Thank you. I hid the balding.
Yeah. So going back to Hooters for a second, we were actually at the 18-inning game. We're at Hooters watching that full game, and that was crazy last year versus Seattle when Jeremy Pena had to walk off, and it was a crazy situation. So I think that's what we're going to have this year, especially against a team like the Twins. Twins and the Astros, they compare really well against each other. So I think we focused a lot on the pitching, and we talked a little bit about the hitting. What about the defense? I know we know a little bit about what Carlos Correa can offer, but what do the Twins offer defensively?
They're a team that does kind of the versatility thing based on matchups. They're pretty decent. Pretty much wherever you look. Michael A. Taylor was a huge factor in the wild card series with a couple huge plays, but Correa had 2 great plays, one in each game that I cannot emphasize enough were just phenomenal. I assume most fans saw them, so I'll keep it brief, but one was a ball kicked off the third baseman's glove. Correa, comes from second base, sprints over, grabs it, fires home. Ryan Jeffers picks it out and tags out Bo Bichette. Ends up being just a pivotal, huge play. Right. And then they do a daylight play at second base in game 2, pick off Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and it just kind of is the last gasp for the Blue Jays offensively. Defensively, they've had enough good plays to overcome what has been shaky play at third base by Jorge Polanco to this point. But ideally, Royce Lewis will be at third. Polanco will be at second. Edouard Julien will be DHing, or Buxton will be DHing. But defensively, they're going to be okay. They're not going to wow you. Kepler's good and right. Matt Wallner has a rocket arm. But in general, it's guys who just do their job, which is not sexy, but it's effective.
Yeah. So looking kind of at the I know Martin Maldo has struggled a little bit throwing out runners. Is that something we have to worry about with your current Twins roster? A lot of stolen bases.
Well, so if you go into the splits, it's actually kind of hysterical. The Twins took forever to start running the bases with any abandon stolen bases. And then Willie Castro pops off for more than 30 Just a crazy season for him. They've got speed in certain spots, and they will dispatch it carefully. That it's not a team that's going to run from the first inning to the ninth inning. But if Willie Castro plays and gets on, he might go. Andrew Stevenson, if he runs for somebody, will definitely go. But it's not a team that is world beating on the bases. I did see someone in the comments ask what kind of base running team they are. Fine, nothing special. They're decent, and they've gotten better as the season went on. But again, they're not going to wow you with that. They're just a very steady team that is not sexy, but to win the Central, you didn't have to be. And you get to October and you got some veteran guys who've been there before, and that's what they're doing.
Well, and if you just go research the comments from Dana Brown and Dusty Baker, they both know that, hey, this is a good team. I mean, Royce Lewis is a kid. Look, when you have a young star that can do that in his first playoff game, that's a huge thing. I remember going back to some little history with Carlos Correa. I remember in his very first playoff game, the wild card versus the Yankees in 2015, they asked him, "Are you nervous about playing your first playoff game in your career at Yankee Stadium?" And he said, "Why would I be nervous? I've been preparing for this since I was 6 years old." And I knew right then that the guy was going to be a superstar. And that's what I think someone like Correa, someone like Jose Altuve, someone like Alex Bregman, these veterans bring to the table. And I think that's why this series is not a lockdown for a sweep. I think this series could go the distance, and they could be either like hard hitting, just scoring a lot of runs, or they could be a lot of 3-2 games in this series. I mean, because the Twins do strike out a lot. If the Astros are not walking their batters and they're striking out batters, if they can keep the ball in the park, low scoring affairs, I think favors the Astros a little bit more than it does the Twins.
Yeah, you're looking at either 7-5 games or 3-2, 2-1, and really not much in between. And also, you mentioned Royce Lewis. I can't think of a better player for him to play next to than Carlos Correa. I mean, if you're a young, he's born in 99. I still can't believe that's a thing because I have 99, I remember vividly. So it's hard for me to believe that that's a thing. But just the type of talent he is, the type of person he is, and then to be next to a transcendent human player, etc., with Correa, it's special. It really is special. And, you understand the vision with those two guys in Buxton and some pitching. If everybody can get on the same page, it has a chance to be a really, really unique, dynamic roster. They just haven't been able to get that together all at the same time this season, which, I mean, it's frustrating. What more can you say?
Yeah, before I ask for y'all's predictions for the series, I do want to make a little note that the Astros are 18th in terms of errors with 81. The Twins are, they're 28th with 66. So y'all have a lot fewer errors. Errors is something that the Astros have really done well with over the years. They've been pretty good defensively, but that's kind of one of the reasons why the Astros have been inconsistent this year. So, Brett, I know you don't like doing this, but let's go ahead. We got ALDS coming up. I know you and I are going to do a show tomorrow, but with Brandon real quick, putting you on spot. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but let's go and get your predictions for the series.
Yeah, I think the Astros take this in 4 games. I believe they take the first 2 at home. I believe Minnesota comes out hard charging at home with a lot of momentum, a ruckus crowd. I think they take game 3. Then I think the Astros finish the deal in game 4. I think that's a realistic expectation. But look, just like predictions and the weatherman aren't always accurate, I'm not saying this because I'm selling the Twins short. I just like what the Astros have on paper. I just like their experience. And again, until we get beaten, until we get dethroned, I think we're going to be the best team on the field, no matter who we play. But that's my prediction, and I respectfully say 4 games. And I don't think the Astros are going to be crushing them. I think they're going to be tight games. They're going to be nail biting games. So, Brandon, what do you think?
I'm going to say Twins in 5. I mean, I have to say Twins, I think, just based on, but I don't have to, but I do think the way that they're playing right now gives me hope that they're going to be at least able to maybe neutralize the home field advantage for the Astros. And, like I said, Twins played better on the road as the season went on. So that could be a factor as well. But ultimately, I'm hoping for a good series. I'm hoping that my blood pressure readings are good once I kind of come down from whatever happens, win, lose, or draw. But I'm excited for the series. I'm taking Twins in 5, and now I'm going to go into hiding from the comments section.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go kind of in between me. I think I know it's going to be the Astros, but I think it's either going to be 4 or 5 games. I think the Astros will take the 2 games at home, and kind of like Brett said, they're definitely the Twins are going to get the first home game, so Game 3, and then from there it's kind of a toss up. What happens in Game 4? I think the Twins could possibly win that, but it just depends on who starts that game for the Astros. But that's not a slight on Christian Javier. I think that he may have a great game. It just may be the Twins have somebody like Sonny Gray going against the Astros, who's actually been pretty dominant against the Astros in the past. So that's why I think the Twins will likely get Game 3. So these next 2 games at home are crucial for the Astros.
Yeah, I think they absolutely have to take Game 1. I think Dana Brown said today, if you take Game 1, you're in the driver's seat. And I think that
Right.
goes for both teams. So go out there, take care of business. I don't worry about what they did at home during the regular season. It's the playoffs. They have turned it kind of like Bull Hurley on over the top with Sylvester Stallone. Like when he, so when Hawk turned his hat around, he became a machine. I think the Astros are going to go into that mode.
All right. So, guys, once again, Brandon, thank you for joining us on Locked On Astros podcast. You're welcome to jump on after every game, any game you want to. Win, loser, or whatever. Even if you're crying, we'll have you on, buddy. But I'm sure we'll be the same thing because we are Astros fans. And no matter what, we are fans of our teams. And so win, lose, or draw, if there's no draw, we'll be doing a podcast. So make sure you subscribe to us on the Locked On Astros podcast on YouTube. Go and subscribe to Locked On Twins as well. And make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. You can find me on X at Eric Tuckstros. You can find Brett at H-Town Wheelhouse. And Brandon, where can I find you at?
At Brandon_WARNE.
All right, and we are the Locked On Astros podcast and the Locked On Twins podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow. Go Strips.
Go Stros. Welcome back, Carlos. Get ready for the House of Horrors.
Are they going to cheer him or boo him?
We'll cheer him. After the first inning, it's done.
Okay. All right,
we're still live. Well, hey.
All right, are you done? All right, bye, guys.